How's it? Today is Saturday, January 7th. Um, Doing the SBD today. Squat, bench, deadlift. Going up um, a little bit for each of them from last week. Basically, my squats are just 3 sets of 3 at the same weight that I did my 4x5 and then 1x10 on Wednesday. So I did that 124 this week. So that's what I'm doing for squats today. 3x3 is just like a little warm up. And then 5x5 bench, 200 pounds, which is 5 pounds more than last week. And 5x5, 149 Sumo deadlift, which is 3 kilos more than last week. I think that today was actually pretty good. I would say that my technique in itself was not horrendous. As far as squats go, they were pretty good. Remember Wednesday? It was one of the first days in quite some time where I felt like I was able to move well and I felt like I was strong, quote unquote strong. But today, that kind of felt very easy. Not very easy. It felt easier than last week's squats did. 3 sets of 3 is not very challenging for what weight I'm doing. So saying that is kind of like a non-statement. But whatever, I did them. My bench today actually was pretty solid. I did again 5x5 at 200. Last week I was struggling a little bit towards the end sets with 195, but today I did not struggle in my opinion. I think my last set, I should have videoed that last set. Maybe I'll start doing first and last set just to show the difference in like levels of fatigue and whatnot. But I um, I think my last set was the best set. Like I think it was better than my first set, to be honest. I think tempo was awesome. I think that I was able to maintain tightness. I think I was also um, able to keep my butt on the bench, which in the past has been somewhat of an issue. You know, um, this 185 was actually really hard. I think I might have taken it too soon after the 135. So then when I went up to the 200, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a struggle. But that was not the case. So I'm happy that that turned out the way it did. Um, like yeah, my hips do come off the bench a little bit here, but overall speed is there and positioning I feel like pretty good. Again, the fifth set was my hips were on the bench. Trust me, or at least trust that I was better than this set. Um, After that, I moved into my sumo deads. Um, as I was going through this today, I was dreading kind of going up in weight, but I do think that I am improving um, slightly, ever so slightly. As far as technique goes, my top sets don't have as much of me like lifting with my back. I think that having my back go into flexion is not the worst thing in the world. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but I would like to be as neutral as possible, if even extended. But sometimes it's just not possible. This is my last warm up here, and then I went straight to 149. I try my best to keep my rests not as long, but generally, like the first rep on every set is pretty solid, and then things start to fall apart really quickly. But I think that this here, that second rep was pretty good. Just trying to maintain um, neutral back. You know, try not to have that be super bent into flexion. But again, like I mentioned earlier, I think flexion is not the worst thing, especially flexion of my mid back rather than flexion at my lower back. I don't think there's too much flexion through my lower back. Um, yeah, I even talked to Blake there. Blake's on the side over there. Um, I was like dreading doing that first set, and then I told him afterwards, like, it's actually not as bad as I anticipated it being. It was definitely still bad, however. So, um, it's just a give and take, pluses and minuses, wherever I can get them. So some of these I'm definitely pulling with my back, but not as much as I have been in the past, which is it's just that small step forward that I think is a little bit better. Um, and later in the sets, I think that my ability to kind of push my hips more towards the bar rather than set my hips high and then pull through my back, I think it does improve substantially towards the later sets. So I think it's probably fourth and fifth set where it really does show like an impact. Here's my third set. Again, first rep, pretty good. Second rep, okay. Yeah, I'm getting pulled a little bit forward here. Hips are a little bit too far back, and so this is when I made the realization that if I can scoot my hips a little bit closer to the bar, like intentionally try to minimize the distance between my hips and the bar, then I think that it would be a good technical change. And then it happens more so on probably the later reps on this set, and then of course on the fifth set. I'm trying my best not to let my lower back and my hips um, lose tension immediately off of the ground. So trying to maintain constant tension throughout the lift is really what I think is going to set me apart, and or not set me apart, but like really improve my overall deadlift. And I do have to remember that it's not going to move as fast off of the ground as the classic like weightlifting movements. So once I have that perspective shift, I think that things do start to iron themselves out. Because I think that like generally my technique is not terrible. Like it's bad. It's definitely not good, but it's not like if we have like a spectrum of like -5 to +5, or a zero is neutral. My technique is probably like a -1, -2. It's not a -5. Definitely could be significantly better, but yeah, every day is a working progress, and it's a working day. It's a day to get better. So I'm just trying my best. Finished off with 3 sets of 15 here for back extension, which I haven't done in a while because my back is actually feeling um, okay. It doesn't feel like great, but it's not hurting like it was last week, and so yeah, I am pretty happy about that. So that might be the biggest win of today. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Shoots.